No one trusts anyone anymore, and we're all really tired. It's Haunted Phosphorescence. Hello, everyone. This is Throw Smiley. Why don't we just wait here for a little while and see what happens? Who's joining me this week?
Well, your first tag was mine, so I think I'd have to say I'm Josh CC, and it's time to kick some Ouija ass.
Anybody messes with me and the whole pod goes. I'm Brian Lesh.
I just need to run this assimilation simulation, and I'm Alaric Weber.
And this is Haunted Phosphorescence. As you can tell by the way I said haunted, this is our creepy October Halloween show. And this one is coming to you on Halloween. So happy Halloween, everybody. And this podcast is brought to you by our patrons. Patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. You can be a patron too. Head on over to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. We've got lots of bonus content there. We just posted an episode on An American Werewolf in London, so that's up there. We've got Star Wars stuff. We've got a lot of music podcasts and our brand new Simpsons podcast. That's right. We do a Simpsons episode, Simpsons Roulette, every week. We talk about a new episode of The Simpsons. So it's patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. But on Haunted Phosphorescence this week, we are watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
100,000 years ago, it found its way into our galaxy. Trapped in the frozen wasteland of Antarctica, it could not escape. Now the men of Station 4 have made a monumental discovery. An alien creature had frozen, but not to death. And man,
it isn't Benny,
is the warmest place to hide.
I think that's the original title with John Carpenter's name in it.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
That was interesting. They that wasn't the sound that Bennings made from that scene.
No.
So they not only hid the visage of the creature, but also the sound that it makes.
Right. Well, so what I read was that every time someone screamed as The Thing, it was different because each time they did, the sound they used was every single one that the thing had become mixed together as one scream. So, so that first one, who was that? Was that Fuchs? What was his name? Was that no
Bennings?
Bennings. Yes.
Bennings.
There's going to be a lot of like trying to remember who was who. I've got us a little handy guide, which I'm going to stick up on the screen here shortly. But
but that was the scream that we heard in the trailer was far more muted than anything from.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they
the scariest part of the whole movie to me is that first scream.
Yeah, that was something. All right.
Yeah, same for me.
But it's that title where the thing kind of like burns away. So I actually read how they did that. It was very cool. So they took a black background and cut the title out of it and put it inside of an aquarium. And then behind it, they put a some garbage bags, some black garbage bags, and then they covered the black garbage bags in lighter fluid and burned it away and filmed through with a light behind it and burned it away through the aquarium.
It's going to come up many times, especially because we've talked about Stan Winston and Rick Baker even last week. Mm-hmm. They were not involved.
No.
And some of these effects are some of the creepiest, craziest for their time. Scary.
The creature effects in this movie are insane. Absolutely insane. So, all right. This movie was released June 25th, 1982. It had a running time of 109 minutes. It cost $15 million. It was the second most expensive movie John Carpenter ever made. The first most expensive being Big Trouble in Little China. And it made a total of $19 million at the box office. This was not a hit. And in fact, it was roundly panned at the time. It was called the worst horror movie ever made by was it Fangoria or Cinema Fantastique? One of those like sci-fi.
In 1981.
82. Yeah.
Or 82.
Yeah.
Compared to everything that had been made to that point, it's the worst.
Yeah, they said it's terrible. Like it was hated. It was a flop. It cost John Carpenter his he never it took him it took him 7 years to climb back up to the point where he could make like a $15 to $20 million movie again.
It's crazy.
They Live came out after ants, right?
Oh,
They Live was the next.
No. Okay, so this is we'll go into Carpenter in a little more detail for sure, but this was so he went Dark Star, which we talked a little bit about on our Alien episode, because his writing partner was the writer of Alien. Dark Star, Assault on Precinct 13. His run is insane. Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, which it's Halloween. It was one of the most successful independent films ever made. That was followed by The Fog, which was a pretty good hit. It's considered one of his lesser films, I think, one of his lesser earlier films, but I really like it personally.
I really like it a lot.
Yeah. Then after The Fog, came The Thing. Then after The Thing, he did Christine, and Christine was kind of. He says that he did Christine as for the studio.
Sorry.
Al, are you The Thing?
No, it's me.
He did Christine for the studio. It was a Stephen King one. He didn't really want to. He was kind of just hired on for it, but he kind of made it his own. And that was a hit. So then after Christine, he did Starman. Then after Starman, he did Big Trouble in Little China. And that got him that kind of, that was also a big flop. They thought it was going to be a huge hit. It flopped. Then after Big Trouble in Little China, he signed on a deal with I can't remember the name of the company. I can look it up, I suppose, later when we're going through the production notes. But he signed on a 4-picture deal. He would get $3 million, and as long as they approved his 1-sentence pitch. But he only got through 2 movies in that deal before the deal was scrubbed and collapsed. The 2 movies he made under that deal were Prince. Is it Prince? What is it called? Not Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness.
It is Prince of Darkness. Yeah, Prince of Darkness, which is about the devil's in a jar in a basement, and
The Mouth of Madness.
And They Live, and those 2 he did in that deal, and then his deal got scrubbed. After that, he got hired on to make Memoirs of an Invisible Man, starring Chevy Chase.
Ugh.
Weird.
And that destroyed his career.
Which came out 4 years after They Live. And They Live was a big success.
Yeah. But his deal collapsed with the studio because he kept wanting to make a Rio Bravo was his big passion project, and he kept wanting to make that. And like they kept saying, "Well, if you want the money you want for it, we have to have more say." And he was like, "No, I want my one sentence." Like, and eventually it broke down his relationship with the studio, and his deal collapsed. And that's, you know, he needed to have a big hit, and he thought he'd make a studio film, a big studio tentpole film. And he got hired on for Memoirs of an Invisible Man, and Chevy Chase destroyed John Carpenter's career.
Like so many before and after.
Yeah. Then after that, he did make In the Mouth of Madness, which was a big hit. Or not a big hit, but it was kind of a bounce back. That, and then he went on to do, of course, Escape from New York. Escape from New York came in between The Thing and The Fog. I knew I was forgetting one. A big one. But yeah, he did Escape from L.A. after In the Mouth of Madness, and then Ghosts of Mars, and yeah, that's kind of the end. He kind of just petered out.
Escape from L.A. was crazy.
Escape from L.A. is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's not like at the level of his early 70s and 80s films, but it's kind of great. Mm-hmm. But that run he had from Assault on Precinct 13 through They Live is just incredible. That's an incredible run of really great films that I think maybe only Spielberg has matched, honestly, as far as like so many films. Spielberg, maybe Hitchcock, Kubrick. Like there's some filmmakers that have a run of films that are just incredible, and like so few get that many like he did.
Totally.
But this movie was not a hit at the box office. And I'm bringing this up because, guys, I think it's time we play the Box Office Top 10 game. This is the game where we're going to count down the Box Office Top 10 of the week of June 25th, 1982. Somebody is the thing. We're going to count down the Box Office Top 10 of the week of June 25th, 1982. I will read the Box Office Mojo descriptions of these movies, which are always great descriptions. And the guys are going to try to guess what movie I'm describing. Guys, you ready to play the Box Office Top 10 game?
$1.
Scream sound.
I am absolutely a human person. Yes, I would love the game.
Okay.
I believe anyone who says that.
Yes, if you tell me you're human, then you 100% are. Coming in, number 10 on the box office. While facing the stress of his play being produced on Broadway, a playwright deals with having to raise his son, his stepdaughters, and his stepsons. It looks like that may be Pacino. Oh, yeah, that's Pacino. It's a Pacino movie.
Oh, no. What's that called? Author?
Author. Yeah, you get it. Josh gets a point.
I was going to say the Scarface Bunch.
The story of
a man named Montana.
He was bringing up 3 children of his own.
He was bringing up
balls
3
filled with cocaine.
Yeah,
though.
I was gonna say he was bringing up 3 keys of coke from Central America on his own.
I packed you a lunch. Here's an empanada and a bunch of coke.
Coming in at number 9, and honestly, someday I really want us to do an episode on this movie. It looks insane. It's the story of a rapid deployment defense unit that's called into action whenever freedom is threatened. Starring Barry Boswick. wearing like tights with like a beard, and he's like on a motorcycle. It looks amazing.
I like when when freedom is in danger, right? Like it's been cornered in an alley.
This is called Megaforce.
Oh,
all one word. Megaforce.
I was thinking Delta Force. I knew that wasn't it, but I was trying to come up with like another Greek letter.
Well, it was
Megaforce
Delta Force,
would-
but at the last minute they had to change it to Spirit Airlines.
And Megaforce did open this week. There's 3 openers this week, including The Thing, and they're all, well, there's Megaforce, then the other 2 are kind of crazy. Coming in at number 8. Nobody trusts each other. And they're all very cold.
The Thing.
The Thing opened at number 8. It made $5 million its opening week. Yeah, opened. At least it opened above Megaforce. That's all I have to say about that. At number 7, a family's home is haunted by a host of demonic ghosts. With the most.
Let's have a toast.
This is
Poltergeist?
Yes, yeah, Poltergeist.
Oh, right.
You moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies. Which is the name of my sex tape.
What if it was the opposite? You moved the bodies, but you left the headstones, which I know is the joke of The Simpsons. But that'd be a hilarious thing to complain about.
But also, yeah, it'd be like, now my basement's full of all these headstones. What am I supposed to do with this much granite?
Now we know. All right, go ahead.
At number 6 this week, a military man must stop an old nemesis from using a doomsday device.
Apocalypse Now?
Mm-mm.
No.
This takes
A
place
doomsday device.
in space.
Moonraker?
No.
Yeah.
Solaris?
Empire Strikes Back.
No.
Damn.
Not The Empire Strikes Back, but you're kind of along the right track, Al. It is the second movie in a series, and it is considered the best of the series.
Aliens?
And it is a very beloved IP. It stars a man that I personally met him once, many years ago. Myself and Joshua McJunkin. And were you? No, Josh. I don't think you were there. I can't remember. There was someone else.
I was there.
You
I
were?
wandered around on my own for a while.
Okay.
I missed the parking garage incident. So, anyways, it's a Star Trek movie.
Yeah. And his
it
nemesis,
is-
Wrath of
Doomsday
Khan.
device.
Khan.
He has to stop his
So,
nemesis from using a doomsday device.
Nemethys?
Yeah. Nemesis. Oh God, that is kind of the same plot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not really a doomsday device. It's a Genesis device.
Yeah, but he's going to use it to,
Yeah, the opposite.
you know.
It's the doom of humanity, though, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Well, potentially in the wrong hands, but they always use a dead planet.
Yeah.
Has to be.
At number 5, I forgot about
Has
this.
to be. Science.
At number 5, a pilot is sent into the Soviet Union on a mission to steal a prototype jet fighter that can be partially controlled by Neuralink. I forgot about this movie. This stars... Oh, wow. This is a Clint Eastwood movie. I forgot this movie existed.
Oh.
This is 82. He made this not long... This might have been his next movie after Any Which Way But Loose.
They hired Eastwood when they couldn't get Clyde to play the pilot.
Yeah. No, Clyde. This is the sequel to Any Which Way But Loose. Him and Clyde have to sneak into the Soviet Union and steal a jet.
No, Clyde's just like, he slides a check across the table and he's like, this is missing like 12 zeros.
This was called Firefox.
Oh.
It's the story of the world's second most popular browser. I'm coming in at number 4 in the box office top 10. A spunky young orphan is taken in by a rich eccentric.
Annie.
Annie.
The sun will come out tomorrow, motherfuckers. Yep.
That's right. The luckiest white orphan. Oh, probably not.
Yeah, probably not the luckiest. But it's up. She's up there.
Yeah, they're a good pick from someone who's worked in child welfare.
It's
fucking disgraceful.
For a kid who, for a kid who was, let's see, I was like 7 years old at this time. I definitely watched this movie a few times. Well, this movie was put on for me. Yeah, it's a damn good musical. It's good.
The songs are great. The performances, I mean, Bernadette Peters and Tim Curry.
Well, yeah, and Carol Burnett. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie.
But it's about a rich white man saving a poor white girl. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, yes, it is. And you know, what are you gonna do?
He's like, my name is Rum Tum Tugger.
Coming in at number 3. After winning the ultimate title and becoming the world champion, our hero falls into a hole and finds himself picked up by a former enemy.
Metaphorical hole?
I assume it's not a literal hole. No, I don't think he literally falls into like a cave.
Rocky 4?
Rocky 3.
Rocky 3. Okay.
4, yeah,
this is Clubber Lang, right?
4 was like 84. Like
oh, that's right.
Super height of Reagan, like Morning in America, like
right.
3 was Mr. T, right?
Yeah.
Clubber
3
Lang.
with T. Yeah.
3 with T, 4 with more.
And by that point, Apollo Creed was not just on his side, but training him to fight Mr. T.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good movie.
It is. The Rocky movies are pretty good, at least up through like the first 4. At least are all very entertaining.
Rocky Balboa is really good. It's really good, actually.
I haven't seen any of the new ones. Any of the ones made like since they've picked it back up. Starting like 10 years ago. Oh my God, it's been like 10 years now, hasn't it? God damn.
They're due for another one.
Oh wow.
I enjoy boxing. So I like those movies.
Opening at number 2 this week. Our protagonist must pursue and terminate 4 targets after they've returned to Earth in a stolen spaceship.
I was going to say Terminator right after your first few words, but I have no idea now.
This is an extremely well-regarded film. It's considered a classic, a masterpiece. It's kind of similar to The Thing as far as how it's regarded at this point. You are silent, Hal.
4 targets return to Earth
in a stolen spaceship, and our protagonist must pursue and terminate them.
This is Superman 2.
No.
Superman 2 again.
Nope. No, it is not. That was
That's right. They weren't in a stolen spaceship. They were on a reflective record.
There were 3 of them, and they weren't returning to Earth.
Yeah.
3.
This, let's see. In our cast, we've got Rutger Hauer.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I was waiting. I thought maybe, but I was
opening up against The Thing.
Stuff.
The Thing and Blade Runner opened the same week.
I was going to say Blade Runner myself, but the 4 targets returning to Earth, where were they? I didn't realize they went somewhere.
Well, no, because they were on a mining colony on...
Oh, okay.
Where were they? I can't remember where the mining colony was, if it was like Mars or something. But they were on a mining colony, and they returned to Earth on a stolen spaceship to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 1 this week, and a troubled child summons the courage to help a new friend.
E.T.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the big reasons The Thing wasn't a bigger hit. No one wanted scary aliens in spring of 1982.
How many of these movies in the top 10 involved space? So we've got E.T.,
Blade Runner,
Blade Runner, Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. I don't know if Megaforce involves space. Annie, maybe.
Annie, she's from space.
No, but like how many?
No,
how many
Brian
are genre?
Valid, there's 100.
Yeah,
But just the ones that are genre films that are sci-fi or horror, like so, including Poltergeist. We've got E.T., Blade Runner, Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, The Thing, Megaforce. It was
So in that clip, John Carpenter talks about how it was the same sort of situation in horror movies in the late 50s and early 60s, this fear of the other, whether it be the communists or aliens from space or your neighbor. But the theme was usually the other, the unknown.
Yeah.
As compared to monsters and ghosts and such. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. And, redoing this movie in the early 80s, like as Reagan is coming in and like the jingoistic, like us versus the commies, like
Twilight Zone. There are a couple brilliant Twilight Zone episodes where the whole premise is just, can you trust the mob? Can you trust the guy that lived next door to you for 30 years when the shit goes down?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, like how fast people turn on each other.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, that is the end of the box office top 10, which brings us to the background and production. We already kind of talked about John Carpenter, and this is, in fact, the second John Carpenter film we did. We did They Live for our monthly movie about, a year ago-ish. So if you'd like to hear that, all you got to do is head over to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. Become a patron, guys. But let's see. So it was directed by John Carpenter. And it was written by Bill Lancaster. Bill Lancaster is the son of Burt Lancaster. So imagine that.
Here we go again.
Yeah, a family. More than one member of a family involved in the entertainment industry.
Robert Evans' son was a coal miner.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm not going to do this.
Bill Lancaster, of course, had a lot of he did a lot of acting too throughout the 50s and 60s. But he did write a few screenplays. He decided to become a screenwriter. He wrote The Bad News Bears.
Oh my God, great for him.
The Bad News Bears Go to Japan.
Okay.
And
points are dropping.
And The Thing. and he submitted a script for Firestarter, which was rejected. And
He's all, look, I came here to write 3 things. 4 things. Chew gum.
Right. He passed away in 1997 at the age of 49, very young. Yeah.
Older than Wilford Brimley in this movie?
Yes. Yes. Wilford Brimley was.
Wait till we get this. Yeah.
We'll get there. But yes, that motherfucker in this film.
He's 26, right? In this movie?
We'll get there.
Can you 40 or below? But I don't think over 40.
He was 48 years old.
Maybe
he was 48
in real life. I know he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we modify? Can we modify the Harmless Phosphorescence logos to have "We'll get there" underneath?
Yeah, "We'll get there" is our slogan.
It is our slogan.
But it's Will is short for Wilford Brimley. Get there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why we do it. Our total recall abilities are fantastic.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the one and only Dean Cundey was the cinematographer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dean Cundey is, for anyone who's unaware, is one of the all-time greats. Let's see. He
shot Halloween. That was one of his first movies.
Yeah, exactly. Ever. That's how Halloween was one of his early ones. Rock and Roll High School. He did The Fog. He did a bunch of Carpenter movies. The Thing. He did Romancing the Stone, Back to the Future, Big Trouble in Little China, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He Roadhouse, Hook, Jurassic Park, Apollo 13, and his biggest hit, Garfield 2, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Oh, poor Bill Murray.
He's a legend. He's a Hollywood legend.
He is. Dean Cundy is one of the all-time greats. And music by this is one of the few John Carpenter didn't score himself. He always said that the reason he did his own scores was because he didn't have much money, and if he didn't do it, who else would for that cheap? He was the best.
Yeah.
He said he was the best.
And adding the suspenseful moments himself.
So John Carpenter didn't score this film.
No, this was scored by Ennio Morricone.
And it's obvious that everything that John Carpenter scored himself sounds like an Ennio Morricone copy.
Yeah. Well, Ennio Morricone was kind of doing Carpenter like in this with like the synth and like the boom 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 boom. Like that's a Carpenter thing for sure.
Very rhythmic.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, no, Carpenter always said he was the best composer that he could get for the money. So
for the money. What a weird thing to say. He's a fantastic
No. Himself.
Yeah.
Carpenter said of himself he was the best composer that he could get for the money, which was why he composed the theme to Halloween and all of the other ones he did himself.
Oh, gotcha. Copy that.
Yeah. Ennio Morricone, this was his big budget movie. This was his big Hollywood like studio film. So Ennio Morricone was his like can get a big fancy composer. Kurt Russell is MacReady in this film. And Kurt Russell started out as a Disney kid, basically. Him and Zendaya kind of had the same roots.
Yeah, we all know Kurt Russell from Sky High, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his claim to fame.
Yeah. I forgot he was in that. But yeah.
It's a Disney movie, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, this was pretty early in his like trying to break out of the kid role.
He was 30 years old, so yeah.
Yeah. He was like 5 years out of trying to break out of the Disney thing. But his first that was Used Cars was his first like big R-rated thing he did, which was whatchamacallit, Back to the Future guy. Robert Zemeckis film, which was a great Robert Zemeckis movie. But then he met John Carpenter because John Carpenter produced an Elvis TV movie in the late 70s, and Kurt Russell played a young Elvis.
And directed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he directed it. He directed a few TV films, which is interesting. So yeah. Then of course he worked with him a few times. He was Snake Plissken in Escape from New York and L.A. And of course he was Jack Burton in Big Trouble in Little China, which is a movie I would love to get. There's not a lot of Carpenter movies I wouldn't love to do on this show at some time. So, you know.
There are so many to love, but I think this is one of my favorite Kurt Russells.
This is a great Kurt Russell. He's so
The one
intense.
from this.
And I love his goddamn helicopter hat.
Dude.
We're going to talk about Antarctic clothing.
Yeah, we will. Anthony Wilford Brimley. Born September 27th, 1934.
You mean 54, right? He was born in 54.
But he didn't pass away until 2020. It was not COVID. It was
it diabetes?
the diabetes.
No, it was the cold hand of death. There was no reason. He was born in 1934. His ticket came up. All right, let's go.
Yeah, he actually started out as a musician. He quote
The Wilford Brimley Experience featuring Homer.
He's Wilford Brimley Jr., FYI. His dad is, of course, still alive and starring in a Disney Channel movie.
So it's genetics. That's how he stayed so young, so long.
Also, a nice warm bowl of Quaker Oats every morning.
Yes.
Did anybody ever see the John Goodman parody where he played Wilford Brimley? And he's like, I wouldn't eat oatmeal if it was the filling in a Dove bar.
So all right. Wilford Brimley started out. He was he was a bodyguard for Howard Hughes in the 50s. And then he became a stuntman.
Do you think he had to carry jars of pee?
Oh God,
and
definitely.
Like nail clippings?
Definitely. Yeah, that's the 50s, absolutely. But yeah.
Do you think he guarded it? Like, I have a lot of questions about Howard Hughes being a security guard for him. Like,
yeah.
Do you think his pee extended, like he himself extended into the pee, and he's like, you need to protect those jars?
Yeah, he didn't want them thrown away.
No, he kept them. He saved them. Yeah.
Do you think he made Wilford Brimley drink them?
He's like, the job is mostly data entry and pee organizing.
Do you think they were organized by color? I have a lot of questions about pee, man. This is going to keep coming up.
Man.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, Wilford Brimley. That he was a Marine. He became a bodyguard for Howard Hughes. He started working as a stuntman, and then he did some ranch hand work and wrangling and blacksmithing, which is how he got his job on the Waltons, which was where he played a blacksmith, and that got him his work in the China Syndrome. Absence of Malice was a big hit, and that he was in, and then The Thing, and then Cocoon is the thing I know him from. Cocoon and those Quaker Oats commercials.
And how old was this supposed 80-year-old character in real life in Cocoon?
In Cocoon, he was 51 years old. Which I would point out that Wilford Brimley in Cocoon was younger than Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man 3.
He's in that movie. He's 4 years older than I am now, and he played 80 or 90 or something.
Yes, he was the oldest young man I have ever seen. He's looked 80 since he was 45. Yeah, there's something to be said for big white mustaches and what they do to a man, and what they do to a lady. So yeah, Wilford Brimley, T.K. Carter as oh Lord, okay. I'm gonna have to start doing a lot of back and forth to remember who everybody played in this. Okay, we got T.K. Carter as Knowles.
He was the cook.
Yeah,
the roller skating cook.
Yes, roller skating cook. He was in Ski Patrol. You guys remember Ski Patrol? That's a great movie. He was Chester and Seems Like Old Times. He was on Punky Brewster for a while.
Yeah, he was on another TV show. Good
Morning, Miss Bliss. He was on he was on A Different World for a bit. The Steve Harvey Show. He was on Good Times. Oh, he was in Dr. Detroit. He played the limo driver in Dr. Detroit. That's where I really know him from. Oh, Amazon Women on the Moon. He was in a lot of stuff.
He played Bill Cosby in Badass.
Oh no!
Wow.
David.
He's in Space Jam.
Oh wow. David Clennon played Palmer. David Clennon. Let's see. He was on 30 something for a while. Paper Chase. Ooh, Bound for Glory. He seems to be a lot of like fourth build stuff and a lot of like medium popular movies. He was in The Couch Trip, Legal Eagles. I forgot if Legal Eagles existed. Matinee. Character actor, basically. Keith David.
Yes.
Keith
Love him.
David as Childs. Keith David is amazing. He was in Platoon, Dead Presidents. There's Something About Mary, Barbershop.
He was hilarious in Something About Mary for having such
the Franco or the Beans. Yeah.
Trying to help this dude.
Yeah. And I just wanted a whole movie about Keith David and Marky Post.
Yep.
And of course, a lot of our younger viewers may know him as Elroy from Community.
He's the voice of the president on Rick and Morty.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, Keith David, National.
Also,
Treasure.
They Live. I mean,
that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We talked about him again in They Live.
One of the greatest cinematic fight scenes of all time. 8 minutes.
Yeah, one of the longest for sure.
Right. And it's brutal, and it's just about trying on sunglasses.
Yeah.
What if that happened in the Sunglasses Hut?
Well, I love the moment in that fight, like in halfway through where Rowdy Roddy Piper breaks the window and he starts laughing and like apologizing to Keith David's like, that was my window. We got let's see, as Dr. Copper, Richard Dysart as Dr. Copper. Let's see, he was character actor, another character actor. We saw him in The Mask. No, not The Mask. He was in Mask, which is a very different movie from The Mask.
That party scene would have been way different.
Oh my God, Cher and what's his face? It was who played Mask? It was
Sam Elliott and Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz, that's right. Eric Stoltz as The Mask, or Jim Carrey as Mask. Either way, it's going to be
Jim Carrey as Stoltz as the Mask.
Yeah. Oh God. So Richard Dysart, he was in Mask, Wall Street, character actor, old dude.
This is fun. He was the voice of Cogliostro in Todd McFarlane's Spawn, the animated, in which Keith David played Spawn.
Oh, cool.
Oh, huh. Okay, so Charles Hallahan as Norris. Charles Hallahan. Let's see. Going in style, cast a deadly spell. Dante's Peak. Another character actor. Peter Maloney as Bennings. He was in Desperately Seeking Susan, Manhunter, JFK, Boiler Room. K-Pax. Richard Mazer as Clark.
And I looked it up, and Mazer's a small type of cherry tree. Not a lot of people know that.
I did not. Richard Mazer was probably best known as Nick Lobo in Rhoda. And Donald Moffat as Gary. Donald Moffat is let's see. He was in The West Wing, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I kept trying to figure out where I know him from best, because he is super, super like that guy. I know that guy. And I was looking through his he was on the Logan's Run TV series. Like, I cannot figure out what it is that I know him much from. He
was the president in Clear and Present Danger is what I remember him as. I remember him playing that. He was in The Right Stuff as LBJ too.
Okay. Popeye.
So he's played the president in a couple of things.
He was the taxman in Popeye. Maybe it's that. He was in Bonfire of the Vanities. God. Yeah. I still don't know what it is.
He played Walt Whitman in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Walt Whitman was in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman?
Yeah, they had to have some sort of celebrity cameos.
He definitely did not want her brand of medicine.
No, he did not. Joel Polis played Fuchs. Let's see. Joel Polis. Wow. Mostly did TV after this. Cheers, Alien Nation, Northern Exposure. He was on an episode of Seinfeld. And then Thomas G. Waits as Windows. And Thomas G. Waits. That's rounding out our cast here. He he was in The Warriors. Another character actor. A lot of 5th and 6th Build stuff. Did some episodes of Kojak. Oh, he was in Money Train.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like say in Halloween, he had no idea how well it had been cast and how successful they would be, but he did cast lesser known actors, and it always worked so well.
It really did.
Like, who would have guessed Rowdy Roddy Piper
Right? Well,
could pull off such a high concept fucking? And I loved him. He was one of my favorites. But you know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well,
That's another Donald Sutherland Body Snatchers role.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and apparently he met Rowdy Roddy Piper through he just went to like WrestleMania like or something. Like got to go backstairs and meet people. I was like, "Hey, you want to be in a movie, Roddy?"
Old school WrestleMania was bigger than the Super Bowl is to adult men child. Yeah, you know what I mean? WrestleMania was the shit.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. So this movie was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert.
Later, there's a terrific blood test where they try and check out who is human, who is not. I wish this movie were less ugly than it is, because in terms of storytelling and suspense, and that subtext of suspicion of one's fellow man, this is actually a very well-made movie. But at regular intervals, no doubt about it, it does gross one out. So, a mixed review for the thing from me. I'm going to recommend it, but serve notice that a lot of people who see it will be made sick by it.
I think that's probably an understatement. I would call this the barf bag movie of July. I have some problems with it. One of them is, I think, the characters. They're not made into three-dimensional people. Their function is to walk down the corridor and be jumped on. The other thing is plausibility. Once they figure out that this thing can turn into one of them, they ought to institute a watertight buddy system, but instead they have all kinds of loopholes. People walk out into the snow, come back with a grin on their face, so that the story is totally implausible, and the movie just basically is an excuse for this very gruesome and repellent creature to gross us out. It is the most nauseating thing I've ever seen on a movie screen, I think.
That's quite a statement.
I think I'll stand behind it.
Yeah, I think that the movie for me, though, isn't about those characters as individual people. I think that's why they can be interchangeable. I think that it's about how a society, this little group here, wants the poison, they think something's going wrong, you're not in the group, you're out, move, just that line, move away to one side. It's a very chilling thing. And I think if you read the movie in that way, then the implausibilities at your level mean very little. And so you sit there wishing, and I do wish, that it were a lot cleaner.
Well, I think, Gene, though, that I've got news for you, and that is that 99% of the people who go to see this movie are there to see the monsters, and very few of them are going to read it as your kind of allegory of McCarthyism.
That we will see. And we split
There's
on the
tons
thing.
of
Roger, as you can remember, was appalled by the monsters in the film. He called it a geek show. I didn't enjoy looking at the monsters either. But I did find it to be an interesting element in the movie, the element of suspicion of something rotten in one's fellow man. So a reluctant, but yes vote for mine.
Well, that's all for this week.
Yeah, it's interesting that this time Gene got it, but Roger didn't.
Yeah, not at all. He didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't always agree with Gene. I rarely agree with Gene, but this time,
Yeah, this time
Yeah.
he like it's because the paranoia, like the suspicion and paranoia, that's kind of the point of the film.
Yeah.
It is. And it doesn't have to be like this McCarthyism thing like Roger thought he was trying to say. Gene summed it up at the end too. They're like, the fear is each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Scooby-Doo principle.
Well, and the monster is how you get butts and seats.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the suspicion is what makes the movie compelling. Like,
yeah.
And The Howling came out no, that was last night's movie. But yeah, they were trying to outgross each other.
They were. But I also see why like an adult gross out horror movie about aliens is not going to hit in the summer of E.T.
Absolutely.
But this, so I mean, 82 is often called the best genre year of all time. So, for instance, so what do we got here? Besides the ones we mentioned, we've got the, all together, on the same one. We had The Thing, Poltergeist, Wrath of Khan, the E.T., Blade Runner. Let's see, the Creep Show came out that year. The Dark Crystal, Tron, Conan the Barbarian, Basket Case, Swamp Thing was 82. God, yeah, it's just on and on. It was a crazy, crazy year for genre movies. And of course we mentioned Megaforce. But Halloween 3, which is that's crazy. Halloween 3 is a ridiculous movie.
Yeah, it's insanity.
But so that's about it, guys. As I said, I do have our handy character guide here because I could not keep them straight when writing my notes. So you ready to jump into the movie itself?
They all look like the same guy with various versions of facial hair.
I think Josh is the thing. He can't discern human faces anymore.
I'm the next big thing, that's for sure.
I'm not seeing the character guide. It's just black screen to me.
You don't see it, Al?
Al is also the thing.
Josh and Brian, can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. I see human beings' faces and descriptions of human beings.
All right, I can live without it.
Can you, Al?
No.
Well, I think we'll find how little their names really matter.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, just took a little while. So,
Alrighty.
all right, guys, you ready to jump into the movie itself?
Who wants to be my buddy?
Here we go. This is
Nobody does. Because I'm the thing.
We knew it.
I think you're the thing.
We knew it all along.
That is discrimination. You, I don't have to wear a mask.
I saw some dude went into it looked like a grocery store, but and they asked him to wear a mask, and he just laid down on the ground and just started yelling no. I'm like, oh my God, you're actually 4 years old.
Yeah, it's not civil
like
disobedience; it's a tantrum.
I have an anecdote doesn't pertain, so hopefully I remember to tell you off air, but it was bonkers yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'll remind you. So, all right, here we go. This is The Thing. We open on space. A flying saucer crashes to Earth. We get a title card, and then a card that reads Antarctica, Winter, 1982. I like that I like when they give us, like, they just said it definitively in time. Like, I know that was like present for them, but also I like so many, they do like the present, Antarctica. Like, I'm glad they said, no, it's 82. So even if you watch this 10 years from now, it's still 82 that this movie takes place.
Yeah, I enjoy that too.
So in Antarctica, a dog races across the frozen tundra, and a pair of men in a helicopter chase it, trying to shoot it.
I want to say that that dog was probably the best actor in this film.
Yes.
Despite it being incredibly well cast and acted, but that dog was incredible. And that dog's name was Jed.
Sweet.
Jed was born in 1977 in Bellingham, Washington. He's an actor known for, I guess this was his first movie. And went on to be in The Journey of Natty Gann, White Fang, and White Fang 2.
Oh, wow.
Myth of the White Wolf.
Good for him. I want to say that he is the best in this movie. And I'd like to point out that sniper is the absolute worst.
Yes. Yes.
Al, were you reading this dog's memoirs? Is that a quote from his own writing?
Yes, it was ghost written by Snoopy.
The Jed story.
Before we get too far away from the spaceship, this is the one space moment in this entire movie.
Yeah.
Does the ship look like it is being flown in an orderly fashion, or does it look like the ship is careening out of control as it is crashing towards the Earth?
It looked to me like it was crashing.
So I don't want to get too deep into examining what the thing is yet, but I don't think the Thing is the original pilot of the spaceship.
Good point.
Yeah, good point.
I think
Probably
that whatever was flying the spaceship was dealing with the Thing.
Oh, that's
Not
very
unlike
interesting.
Ripley in Alien. I don't think that the ship was built by the Thing.
Okay.
or that the Thing chose Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a symbiote, basically. So it would have done that to any life-having planet. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Part of the pilot was there, and
That's actually very interesting, Brian.
So we're encountering two alien races.
Yeah,
basically
the ones
same
that built the spaceship, and then the parasitic one that's taken over the pilots of the ship. Okay, yeah.
Which I cannot elaborate how much I love, but also how much that is similar to the beginning of Alien.
Yes, it is.
There are two alien races in Alien.
That's right. Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. So, all right. Meanwhile, at the U.S. National Science Institute, Station 4, the men relax and play games. We meet MacReady. He does not like to lose at chess.
The voice of Chess Wizard.
Yes.
Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, who was what?
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. So she was in The Thing and Swamp Thing.
Two kinds of things.
There are two kinds of things in this world: things and swamp things.
And Adrienne Barbeau knows.
And of course, Escape from New York.
Yeah, of course.
Carpenter.
She wasn't she like? I think she was romantically linked to John Carpenter or something at some point. I can't remember. So all right. The dog and the helicopter arrive at the American base. The men run out to see what the commotion is. The dog seeks safety among the Americans. The men with the helicopter jump out. One dies through some terrible grenade handling. That was ridiculous.
That is convenient.
Yes.
Terrible grenade handling.
Yes.
Yes.
It also blows up the helicopter. The other one tries to shoot the dog, shooting an American, Bannings, instead. And the leader of the American base, Gary, decides to just smash a window and kill the man with the gun. The window smashing, I thought, was a little hasty. Like, run to a door or open the window.
I was going to say, there are a lot of open doors in this movie compared to the original. A lot of open windows, a lot of acting like the temperature in Antarctica is quite manageable.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it gets stuffy inside. You want to let the cool Antarctic breeze in.
So you have ventilation.
It's like the surface of the moon out there.
Right. So,
and he didn't see any biosphere type setups. The only reason to do that research on Antarctica is to see if you can live in those conditions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about
why
the
else?
research that they were doing there.
What was their research they were doing? Because,
I know it didn't look like an astronomy base, but
No.
they do a lot of astronomy down there nowadays anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah.
Well, clearly they were doing
No,
some
that makes
biology
sense.
because we had our
a biologist. But what kind of biology
computer.
are you there to do in Antarctica? You've got penguins.
Well, I assume that it was microbiology because we had the computer simulation of individual cells.
That makes sense. I mean, like drilling out ice samples and like seeing what's in them.
Yeah.
Sure. But the real reason is to see if human beings can live under those certain conditions. Nobody's mining under Antarctica. Nobody's building real estate. That's why they do that.
Yeah, I mean
it's possible.
that's definitely a part of it. But yeah, they play real fast and loose. I'd like to I've been. I've
been in real life, not these people, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have been in negative 50 degrees before, in some of the coldest parts of the northern Midwest, and it is not a joke. You don't they're acting like it's 20 out, not negative.
You
50.
don't go on a cowboy hat.
Yeah, exactly. Like you bundle, like nothing of your face should be exposed to those elements.
Yes.
So all right. That's probably the weakest part of the film as far as like how they handle. And it's the first week of winter, so it's not even like.
What do you mean winter? That's another thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like
I understand the Gregorian or the calendar. That makes sense, but like actually being there, there's no seasons.
Yeah, no,
you don't see.
Well,
what a nice sunset.
Just discussing the choice of doing this in an Antarctic station makes me wonder what the discussion about whether or not this should be on Earth versus being on a space station in the future.
The original is the exact same setup as this. They're on a like station in Antarctica studying.
Well, and this was based off of the original short story that The Thing from Outer Space from 1951 was based off of also. So like they didn't John Carpenter didn't remake the film. He did a version of the same short story that the original film did.
Unless you've seen the original.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it was, he took inspiration from the original, but like, the story-wise, it was based, they specifically said they based it off the short story rather than the film. So, all right, Americans take the dog inside, they patch up Benning's wound on the leg, they try to figure out what happened. Windows, our radio operator, can't get through to anyone and hasn't been able to for 2 weeks. They figure out the men are Norwegian. We meet the rest of the crew.
I got to just point out, it's nice to see some more. It's nice to see more Ouija hate out there. Norwegians get off easy. Coming over here, stealing jobs.
Well, stealing all our death metal jobs.
All of our neurosurgeon position.
Yeah.
Ouija's.
So, all right, they decide to head over to the Norwegian base to see what's going on. McCready is the helicopter pilot, so him and Dr. Copper load up and fly over. While they're gone at the base, the dog wanders around, eventually finding someone alone. We don't see who that is, though. McCready and Copper.
The shadow indicates that he has hair.
It does. It does indicate hair. I would point out that Carpenter, the shadow was created by one of the special effects people. It was a crew member. It was not an actor's shadow. John Carpenter specifically wanted to keep it uncertain as to whose shadow it was. The most likely candidate is probably Norris. He was Norris or Palmer, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah.
It wasn't McCready. He didn't already get it.
Wait, wasn't it Clark? Wasn't he?
No. But Clark never got infected.
Okay.
That's right.
Later on, McCready shoots Clark, and Clark was just a straight up human. Clark never got infected. Who's infected and who's not, and when they get infected is a puzzle. And it's a puzzle people have been working on for 40 years. So
they explain it somewhat, but not satisfactory.
I mean, there's vague moments, and it's definitely something that you have to put together and go back and look at. And there's some that we simply never had the information to say with certainty in certain points.
I saw this movie with my family at the DN's Drive-In when it came out.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know it, but my parents and aunt and uncle had eaten pop brownies. And during the dog scene, my mother freaked out so bad and got so scared, we all had to leave.
Oh my God.
Drive-In because she was flipping out. Because that dog shit is fucked.
Yes.
And it's so early in the movie, you don't see that shit coming until
it's so hardcore.
No, when that started
a normal
up,
movie would make a dog sound like a dog in pain sound off screen.
Yeah.
This just got raw.
This one just straight up, the dog's head goes like full, like Stranger Things flower face. All right. Yeah. So McCready and Copper arrive at the Norwegian base. Finding only charred ruins and frozen corpses, they find the burned remains of a malformed humanoid double-headed kind of thing which they recover and take back to the American station. Meanwhile, Gary's getting annoyed that Windows can't reach anybody. Blair performs an autopsy on the remains and finds a normal set of human organs inside. That night, Clark kennels the Norwegian dog with their own dogs, and at this point, it turns into a hideous alien creature and begins absorbing all of the station dogs. The team hears the disturbance. They run in to the scene. Child gets sent to fetch a flamethrower, and they use that to incinerate the creature. Blair autopsy.
And discovering that fire seems to be their only weapon.
Yeah, fire. Yeah, because they try to shoot it at one point, which does nothing. So they get the flamethrower, and the flamethrower takes it out. So they know fire does it. Blair autopsies the dog creature, learns that it can perfectly imitate other organisms. He asks Clark about the creature and discovers that Clark was alone with it for some time. Clark, seen as later on we discover he was never infected, was like a super early red herring here. They watch videos of the Norwegian team, private videos, that they discovered at the base. They find out that the Norwegians had dug something up out of the ice. They figure out where the excavation site is and fly over to check it out, discovering a partially buried alien spaceship, estimating, due to the ice around it, that it was there for 100,000 years. So the thing was in hibernation for 100,000 years.
So it's extra hungry.
Yeah. Back at the base, they discuss the impact of the discovery of alien life. Who is it? It's Palmer, right? Is Palmer the stoner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Palmer's the one who's like, chariot of the gods, man. like
That's an actual book, and it's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah. Well, and the movie, right, had come out at that point.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it had.
It was 70s.
Yeah.
Or a documentary
It was
film,
basically
quote,
the original Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zachariah Sitchin in particular. Anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, the Knowles finds a torn up set of long johns in the garbage. Blair runs some computer simulations and estimates that if the creature got back to civilization, it would assimilate all of Earth within 3 years.
That was quite a handy computer.
Yes.
You can do a lot.
Yes. Yeah. That's the computer work in this is funny because it's like because Kurt Russell pours his scotch into that computer at the beginning because he's mad about chess, but this is 1982. That's probably like a $3,000 computer he's ruining.
I don't think was that the same computer? That was the chess computer.
It was the it was just for chess, but still a chess computer. 1982.
It was called the Chess Wizard.
Yeah.
That's all that thing did was play chess.
Yeah. Later on, we see there are multiple large servers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with like the tapes and everything.
So the computer can determine the percentage of people who will be infected.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting that 3 years is his estimate and not 3 weeks or 3 months because realistically, COVID got around the earth pretty quickly.
It did. I think that estimate might be actually a little optimistic.
Yeah, Spanish flu before there was intercontinental flight, things like that. I mean, and those things don't have tentacles and mimicry and the ability to hide that they exist.
Yeah, that's actually it's interesting watching this movie in the era of COVID. There's a lot of parallels. Which,
oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah. You're not going to make me do that.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this in the early days of lockdown because of that. I thought like, oh, well, here we are.
Yeah.
At the time, me and my roommates locked in a house together. All of us wondering, is he bringing COVID home?
Right.
Is he COVID or is he Is he my roommate?
Or is he Brovid?
Is he? Maybe it's COVID. Maybe it's Maybelline. All right. They let's see. Bennings and Windows are done with the alien corpse, but they're packing up the alien corpse. Like they're putting it away into storage. Windows leaves and the corpse moves behind Bennings' back. Meanwhile, Fuchs takes McCready aside and tells him that Blair is cracking up. But Blair did write in his journal that the remains aren't dead yet. They still have cellular movement. Meanwhile, Windows comes back and finds that Bennings is in the middle of being assimilated. The whole camp gets alerted. They run out. Bennings does that crazy scream, and they burn him to death.
You can still see the hand is an approximation of a human hand.
Yeah,
it hasn't fully formed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were some uncanny valley moments with the Bennings prosthetic that really, really, really made it scary. In addition to the terrifying open mouth scream.
Yeah.
Totally.
Between that scene and the blood sample scene, oh geez, and the dog, and oh my god. Yeah. After burying the remains of Bennings, they realize they can't find Blair. McCready spots him sabotaging their snow vehicles.
But they didn't bother calling Natalie or Tootie to find out where Blair was.
McCready spots Blair sabotaging some vehicles. There's a disturbance inside. They find Blair trying to destroy the radio and their servers after having killed all the remaining sled dogs. The team subdues and imprisons him in a tool shed, and he warns McCready to keep an eye on Clark. At this point, Dr. Copper suggests they do a test to compare each member's blood against the uncontaminated blood being held in storage. They find that the blood has been destroyed by some sort of supernatural creature, possibly a werewolf or zombie.
I have a question about the blood thing. Of course, it's hard to know the intentions of the thing itself.
Sure.
Was it destroying the blood so the test couldn't be run, or was it assimilating the blood so that it would be better at mimicking the human beings that the blood belonged to?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Both is very possible.
Yeah, and it could have been a little bit of both.
Yeah, because at this point, and this was one of my unanswered questions, who even destroyed the blood? Who was the thing at this point that was destroying the... Who at this point is the thing? I'm uncertain.
And actually, how does the thing feed?
Does it even need to feed? Does it need to consume anything to survive?
Yeah, because it sticks it brings out tentacles which stick into people and then they get assimilated. But
I just wondered if it needed blood.
Yeah,
not like a vampire, but to
some sort of organic life to organic material. Yeah. I don't know, because like I said, at this point, I'm uncertain as to who even the thing is. I suppose Norris probably is, if he's the one who the dog assimilated earlier, because that seems the most likely, or it could be Palmer. And how did they get the key? Because the doctor wasn't assimilated, and the doctor and Gary were the only ones that had access, which is why they were so suspicious of them at the time. So, yeah. All right.
Well, and maybe the doctor was already assimilated when the arms happened, and it was the thing pulling a bluff on the people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I feel like when the arms got chopped off, he would have given away his thingness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it wasn't surprised. Maybe it could have been anticipating that ahead of time. That's always been my assumption with the key aspect, was the doctor was just faking it and planning that whole thing.
They tested the doctor's blood, and he came up negative.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the two dead bodies were both negative.
Tested,
yeah.
That's right. The doctor and who was the other dead one? Oh,
Clark had been shot in the head.
That's right, Clark. Yeah. So, I don't know who did that to the blood. That was one of my unanswered questions. But all right, so Then he goes in and he finds out that the blood has been destroyed. They start arguing amongst themselves. They end up pointing guns at each other. Gary gets accused of being an alien. He gives up command to MacReady. That night, MacReady has Doc, Gary, and Clark tied up and drugged because they're the three that are under the most suspicion. Then 48 hours pass uneventfully. MacReady records a journal entry in which he divulges that he suspects that when people transform, they tear through their clothing and thus the torn up long johns. That night, Fuchs hears a noise outside and the lights go out. He runs outside and in the snow he finds the torn up jacket of MacReady. We cut to some time later. MacReady's telling the others that Fuchs is missing. They split into teams and go to investigate. They visit Blair, who's acting strangely calm and eating his Quaker Oats.
And there's a noose hanging in the tool shed.
Favorite noose.
Yes, he was planning on killing himself, but the noose remains
used?
Yeah, it remains unused. So, I mean, I figure at this point Blair has been assimilated. Like, I think Blair was planning on killing himself, then got assimilated, and ended up not.
And first he Shawshanked.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
And he's so portly, it would have been hilarious if when they caught him, he wasn't very far into the project. He was like 3 feet down.
He was like, I assimilated a fat old guy. And they're like, but Blair's only 48. What?
What? I can't fit through these tunnels. You got me.
So, all right. They find the burnt corpse of Fuchs. And Windows heads inside while MacReady and Knowles investigate MacReady's shack because they see that the lights are on and MacReady turned the lights off when he left. Then we cut to some time later. Knowles.
It's about 45 minutes later.
Yeah, around 45 minutes later. Knowles has abandoned MacReady in the snowstorm, believing that he was assimilated after finding his torn clothes in the shack. All that happened off screen, so we don't know what happened with MacReady and Knowles out there.
And very subtly, Quentin Tarantino paid tribute to this in the Hateful
Dangerous Eight or Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hateful Eight shares a little common. Not all. I don't want to say.
Yeah.
But
trapped in a room.
Yeah, but
Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Kurt Russell.
Trapped in a room. Somebody killed. At least one person killed somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 10 Little Indians kind of thing in some ways. So, all right. Then, okay. So the team debates whether or not to allow MacReady back inside, who has returned. He breaks in and holds the group at bay with some dynamite. During this encounter, Norris appears to suffer a heart attack, but as the Doc Copper attempts to defibrillate Norris, his chest transforms into a mouth-like cavity and bites off Copper's arms, killing him.
Crazy.
That scene was insane.
And the thing, as Norris tricked them into thinking that he had died of a heart attack.
Yes.
It is super duplicitous and self-preservation, like at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
Yeah. It stopped all the bodily functions to trick them into getting close to the body.
Right. And yeah, just like he eats his arms with his rib cage.
Yep.
Oh man.
Then he grows a new head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while go ahead, Thoreau.
Well, no. Okay, so eventually they incinerate Norris, right? But the head falls off the body,
Norris's original head kind of squeezes out. That's what I was going to say. He grows that second head. It's almost like a distraction.
Mm.
And then the original head squeezes off away from the flaming body.
Right. And grows spider legs and tries to sneak out behind them.
And eyes. And the head was upside down.
Yeah.
The upside down aspect just adds to how shocking this is as a visual.
All of this is crazy. And I can definitely see how 1982 people would be like, holy shit, this is insane.
Well, and the reactions of all the actors in that moment of just like, what? Like they've seen enough of this to know that like anything is possible, but still the visual of this is so terrifying. And I love that they all just watch it walk away. It's like,
MacReady does then incinerate it. But holy shit. Yeah.
And he was brave enough to give you a no-win situation.
Yeah.
You could imagine maybe what happened, but he's like, they're the only two left. Their only advantage is fire. They're stuck on Antarctica. Like, definitely wasn't a high note. And even Keith David Childs is like, so what do we do now?
Oh, at the end?
Yeah. No, we're not.
Yeah, we're jumping way, 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 way ahead there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Yeah. So, let's see. MacReady wants them to tie each other up. Clark rushes him with a knife. He shoots Clark point blank in the forehead. Everyone does get tied up. MacReady tells them that if every small piece of the creature is alive, then even the smallest portion will try to defend itself. So then we have the blood sample testing scene where he tests each blood sample with a heated piece of wire. Everyone passes the test except Palmer.
This whole scene, like much of this movie, is like what's the not nesting dolls? What's the cup game called?
Oh,
the Hustler cup game.
Yeah, not 3-card Monty.
3-card Monty.
Yeah,
it is 3-card Monty. There's so much done with sleight of hand and things that we don't see happening visually on screen that we are so confused. And obviously, 40 years later, we're still so confused by this specific steps in this movie.
Right.
It's great. Nothing is shown directly to us, and we're just led to believe what we believe.
Right. So John Carpenter did say there were a few tells that he put in. So any actor who was infected, they took away any sort of lighting which would reflect in their eyes, so their eyes would be blank and dark.
Yeah.
That's one of the few visual tells he put in. So if you watch through again, anybody who has reflections of lights in their eyes is not infected at that point when you are seeing them have reflections in their eyes.
It's like Blade Runner, though, where the whole idea that like the replicants have that ring in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But you still don't know for sure at the end.
Yeah. You don't know at the end.
That was my point too. I really like when movies do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like when a British series is just like, we're donezo.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not going to do 3 more seasons of bullshit.
Well, it makes me think of like the modern version of that is Inception with the spinning top, where it's like, but did it? You see it spin a little bit, you see it tumble a little bit, and it's like that's the whole point, is that we don't know for sure.
The uncertainty.
And that's the beauty of the eternal conversation that will be born out of these movies.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The uncertainty is the point. So all right. Let's see. So Palmer's exposed as being infected. He transforms, breaks free of its bonds. He infects windows. MacReady's having trouble with his fire, his flamethrower, but he eventually.
If he affects windows, his name should have been McAfee.
This flamethrower scene is so frustrating to me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I think is out of character for MacReady, being like befuddled by this piece of technology, just being like. While chaos is happening around him.
Yeah.
You think that he'd be like, self-preservation, man, I'm out. I'm grabbing my stick of dynamite and I'm leaving the room.
Yeah, you think
or something.
He would have tossed like some dynamite in and closed the door and ran. Like maybe.
Right,
yeah.
And like, I know the rest aren't infected, but fuck them. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's my one story complaint about this, the way this whole thing goes, is that he just kind of stands there, dick in his hands, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Kurt Russell
one of my peeves, and maybe it doesn't mean anything, but around that same scene, the creature uses its tongue or tentacle to pull the what's the dynamite lever? It has a specific name.
Oh,
You
the
know what I mean?
plunger name.
Oh, this is in the
Uses his-
finale.
Yeah, that's at the end. At the end, he does that.
All right,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's in the tunnels underneath.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
my bad.
But yeah, so all right, so Childs is left on guard while the others go to test Blair. They find that Blair has escaped. They discover in underground tunnels he's dug, and that he was using their equipment to construct his own small spaceship. They blow up the shack and the spaceship. While on their return to the main building, Childs is missing. And
so the spaceship thing, okay. The creature is trying to recreate the spaceship. Again, I this is something that's always stuck with me with the thing is I don't think the thing created the spaceship that it arrived to the Earth on, but its natural thought is to recreate the thing that it arrived to the Earth on, because it takes pieces of things and creates itself out of them. It's trying to do that with mechanical stuff without an understanding of how mechanical stuff works. It's just an interesting characterization of the thing creature itself. It's like, I don't know, I got here on a spinny disc made of metal parts. Here are metal parts. I'll make a spinny disc. It just shows like how like, I don't want to say like childlike it is, but it is just seeing a visual approximation and then trying to reproduce it. The spaceship didn't fly. It wasn't a real spaceship. It didn't have like vertical thrust or anything. It was just metal parts that were shaped like the metal parts.
Yeah.
Reassembled.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good question of whether that spaceship was really going to get the thing anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it might also assimilate knowledge from its hosts, because it's able to imitate a person so perfectly, mannerisms, and probably got some memories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it had the knowledge of spaceship building maybe from the spaceship aliens that it assimilated. That's a possibility.
But at the same time, I don't think that it was necessarily going to take that spaceship and fly away. I don't think that it had the complete knowledge to create whatever otherworldly technology made the other spaceship fly. We don't see it harvesting parts from the big ship to put into the smaller ship or something, or creating an engine
out
to
that,
fly. Oh yeah.
That possibly it absorbs certain information or ingrained knowledge from everything it assimilates. Maybe it didn't. What we talked about, it probably didn't build the first ship either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I know I want to imitate these other creatures, but a part of me wants to build this thing.
Yeah, it might have just been acting instinctually, yeah. Huh. So, all right, MacReady returns to the main building. Childs is missing. The power generator has been destroyed. MacReady speculates that the thing intends to return to hibernation until a rescue team arrives in order to infect them. So MacReady, Gary, and Knowles decide that they're going to blow up the entire station in order to destroy the thing. They start setting explosives out.
And MacReady's already determined at this point. He says, we're not getting out of here alive.
Yeah.
But neither is this thing.
Right. Yeah. He realizes at this point. I'm wondering how early he realized, I think when he was testing the blood, he still thought maybe they could get out of it. But by the time he sees Blair and the spaceship, he's and realizes it's going to hibernate. I think this is the point where he decides, no, none of us are getting out alive.
When did he record the message? That was before the blood test, right?
Yeah.
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 I think that was the first moment where he goes we very well could all die here in order to save us, because he had the conversation with Blair and all that. But I mean,
right.
I think he was entertaining the thought, but I think his final decision, no, we're just all going to die, period, was probably around the time he saw Blair had escaped.
And they don't give a clear timeline. It's 81, but over this period, it could be one night. It could be a couple.
Right. Well, no, he says in his thing he's recording, he says it's been 48 hours since the
dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So, then that was my point, is that they don't have a real understanding of how fast this works either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that ups the ante as far as we got to just die.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So as they said, explosive, Blair kills Gary, Knowles disappears, and then transforming into an enormous creature, Blair, as the thing, destroys the detonator. This is the point where he like presses down the thing and blows it up.
Blair killing Gary was the fingers in the face.
Oh God, yeah.
Freaking incredible.
Yes. That was a great scene, like all of that looked insane.
It's always an intense way to go.
Yeah.
Fingers in the face.
We don't see
real life effects
the horrific tentacle action. We just assume that all of that is happening under the surface of his skin, which is a really cool thing. At this point, they've shown us everything that freaks us out, but then we just get the hand on the face and the wiggle.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, there's a quick shot of Gary's body being drugged by the face, and it's like fully integrated into Blair's hand at that point.
Yeah.
It's trying to find something else to add to its assimilation.
Yeah, putting them together, making them they're becoming one creature.
Yeah, it's no longer trying to sneak through the group. It's trying to overpower the group by just becoming bigger than them, which is interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing changes strategies multiple times throughout this. And the question is how smart is this thing? And is it only getting smarter because it has multiple brains, Yeah.
I think that it's more about adaptability than intelligence.
Yeah.
I think it gains intelligence based on the life forms it imitates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because it does, because at the end here, like I said, he's Gary and Blair become both part of the same, they meld together to become this bigger thing.
Right. They seem on one hand advanced and also behind evolution.
Yeah. So, all right. McCready does trigger the explosives using a stick of dynamite. The base blows up. He pulls himself out of the rubble and collapses nearby as the station burns. He's got his bottle of J&B. Childs returns. Go ahead, Al.
I loved McCready's line right before he throws the dynamite. The creature's roaring at him. He just says, "Yeah, fuck you too."
Yeah.
That was the classic 80s.
Yeah.
line. Remember when "fuck you" was one of the worst things?
Yeah.
People would flip out. Now it's what they say when you're done shopping.
Have a nice day. Fuck you too.
Thank you. Yeah.
When I went to England, the first night there, the dude went to the jukebox, put some money in, and we were close by, and he picked just a couple of songs and told us we could pick the rest. And we said, "Oh, thank you very much." He's like, "Yeah, fuck off."
Yeah, they use swear words brilliantly. Some of their swear words are confusing, but they're artists. They are true vulgarians.
Yeah,
that hide behind a prim and proper.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So all right. So Childs returns just at that moment. He tells McCready that he got lost in the storm while pursuing Blair. Exhausted, knowing that they're soon going to be slowly freezing to death as there's no more inside for them to go to, they acknowledge the futility of their distrust. McCready gives a bottle of scotch to Childs, who takes a drink as McCready smiles.
So I think there was a cool writing missed opportunity because Childs is so what do we do now? And I think it would have been cool if McCready was well, we drink until we pass out and then we freeze to death.
It just straight up says,
just a badass, just like, that's what's going to happen. Have some scotch.
yeah.
Well, I think that the reason why they didn't do that is to leave the suspicion of both of these characters. Is MacReady still MacReady? Is Childs still Childs?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, let's see what happens. But they're literally in the middle of Antarctica. Even with their best efforts, they're not going to be able to walk very far. So you're right. It leaves all that.
Yeah.
Right. But also, is Childs infected? Is MacReady infected? Like, that is very unclear.
Where has Childs been, and where has MacReady been to Childs? All he sees is the base explode.
Even though they were adversarial, it was an interesting relationship. Because they were like, well, there's no need to kill each other. We're the last two. There's no way we're going to survive. So instead of killing each other, let's just lay here and die.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so, all right. So, yeah. The big unanswered question of the film is, was Childs and or MacReady infected in this final scene? That is the unanswered question of the film, which has been debated for 40 years now.
I don't think either are. I think that's the tragedy.
So there's an interesting theory about the bottle of scotch and about the smile from MacReady. Yes. So there's this underlying theory and assumption that MacReady, because we don't see MacReady drink it himself.
No, he never drinks the scotch himself.
Do when he's recording. He's drinking some JB.
But not
earlier.
But not in this
moment.
In this.
So
scene,
there is a theory that MacReady has filled the bottle with gasoline and hands it to Childs, who, if Childs is not himself, if he is the thing and it's gasoline, he wouldn't know the difference necessarily, and he would just drink the gasoline. And MacReady would then smile at him, going like, "Oh shit, he was the thing all along."
Yeah,
I think that's a distinct possibility for sure.
I also
think that maybe he kind of, so alcohol and the higher content we know is flammable. It's an accelerant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your idea probably makes more sense, but he could have even just known that like it couldn't drink alcohol, sort of thing.
Mm.
So that was the test.
That could
Who
be
knows?
too.
But you're right. That's the question. Are either of them infected?
We don't know.
Both.
That question is literally left unanswered, by the film itself.
And one unanswered question is so suspenseful and important is what happened after? Did that alien just freeze again?
Yeah. If Childs was infected, did MacReady kill him? Was he able to? Was MacReady infected? Was he maybe smiling because he knew they were both infected?
What if a rescue crew does show up?
Yeah,
and gets both of them alive. So, anyways,
a couple other questions. Whose long johns were in the garbage?
The guy who shit in them accidentally.
Yeah, it was not thing related. It was just.
He talks about how disgusting it is, and then he throws it on either the stove or the kitchen counter.
Right? Yeah.
It's still the prime suspects being Norris and Palmer, but
yeah, probably one of them,
of course.
But
he mentions that clothing, that they tear through clothing, it doesn't assimilate in any sort of mystique type way.
Yeah.
Well, and
so it's a clue. It's a red herring clue.
Norris looks like a guy who would shit his pants. So
totally.
Yeah, he does.
I gotta hide these.
Who tore up MacReady's clothes to leave them? Because that was that was some sneaky, duplicitous stuff. Somebody was infected, went out and tore up MacReady's clothes just in order to sow distrust.
Okay, so again, back to Norris becoming a giant mouth and eating the hands of Dr. Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is able to trick people.
Yeah.
Especially if it's playing both roles. The question is, was MacReady infected the entire time, playing the role of the thing, tricking everybody? That's where it gets fucking super deep, three-dimensional chess level of was he the thing the entire time? The moment that he gets lost outside in the snow and arrives by himself, but doesn't know it.
They test his blood as well.
Well, but that's the thing, is maybe the blood doesn't have to react. It is a feint itself.
Right.
The thing is tricking them into thinking that it has to react to a hot wire, when realistically it's like, nah, I just do what I want.
That's a possibility. I mean, yeah.
Like, how deep does the rabbit hole really go in this movie? Is like, you could interpret this movie so many different ways. But I love the idea that maybe MacReady thought he was a human the whole time. I know I'm me, and he's wrong. That's my favorite interpretation. I don't necessarily think it's right, but...
And then it's called The Thing. So in that documentary, for the last time, John Carpenter talks about that. He talks about the ancient people sitting around the fire in the village, and the shaman and the wise man telling them that the fear is out there. The fear is out in the darkness that we can't see. The fear is the other. When it turns out the fear is us, not the other. And so he definitely used that theme pretty heavy. You know, Are you the thing? Like, they start calling it The Thing, and things just right off the bat. It makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and and so the last unanswered question I have is, who killed Fuchs? And was Fuchs infected at that point, or was he killed by the Thing in order to make them think he was infected?
Yeah.
He was attacked by Antarctica's most fierce animal, the penguin.
Yeah.
And they pose the question right there and never answer it. Was he attacked by the Thing, or did he set himself on fire?
Right. Yeah.
Their very first mistake was not quarantining immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. They should have. Immediately.
They ruined their rec room.
They should have quarantined. They should have worn masks. They should have washed their hands regularly.
There's lots. Well, and they mentioned. So I mean, since any small bit of the thing can be, can itself be its own thing.
Yeah,
like
independent life form, if you will,
an independent life form. Like, how did every single bit get burned up? Like, is there a little chunk of the thing, like a little dime-sized chunk out there waiting? Like,
Maybe.
Well, and we see from that virtual reality high-tech demonstration that a single cell of it is its own thing. Yeah. And cells are very small, like smaller than a dime.
Oh, yeah.
Smaller than a pinhead. It's pretty hard to destroy something that, a small single drop that is indiscernible to the eye.
Yeah.
Right,
that can move around on its own. I mean,
I think
they all could have been affected 5 minutes into the movie, and we would never know.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know.
I think it's very, very unlikely that this completely stops the spread. Like, I think Earth's pretty doomed at this point.
Yeah.
The Thing 2011 is a movie that exists. It was marketed as a remake. It technically is a prequel. It ends with a...
Does it take place in a Norwegian camp?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
It absolutely does. It's cool. It's not great. It's nowhere near as good as this, but it's an interesting movie to watch in conjunction.
Is it just called The Thing, or
it is just called The Thing? Yeah. Because it was marketed as a remake of The Thing, but it's technically, sure. And it ends with them chasing the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it leads directly into this one, but it's okay. It's an all right film. They did all the effects practically, and then the studio panicked and made them put CGI over a bunch of the practical effects they did, which is too bad. But
it's a bummer.
Yeah. But it's an all right movie. It's not even close to the 82, The Thing.
So I shared with you guys this, and I shared it too late. Nobody got a chance to read it. But The Things is a short story by Peter Watts that's written from the perspective of the Thing as it goes through the events of this movie. Sort of starting at the end, like a la Quentin Tarantino out of timeline kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it gets the I am being Blair, I am being Cooper, I am being Childs, explaining what each person is doing as the Thing, and oftentimes explains how they do not know that they are even assimilated as the thing.
Right.
But this short story was a Hugo Award nominee. It was nominated for a bunch of different sci-fi and short story awards. It's worth a read. It's very cool.
Right. And that's actually very interesting, because with that and that short story, that perspective, the question then becomes, if you're infected, do you even know you're infected?
Yes.
Are you thinking like I'm being a sneaky alien, or do you think I'm Bennings and I'm,
right. It's the symbiote, sort of made up logic. Yeah. Do you know, or is it talking to you?
And the short story, this version runs under the understanding that Childs has been assimilated.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's I think there's a good chance he was, but again,
Well, he doesn't look cold at the end. He's not wearing a jacket. He's not wearing a hat. I mean,
he isn't defending himself like he was.
Yeah.
I mean, verbally defending himself.
Yeah, he seems like he's in a good mood for the first time in the entire 2 hours of the movie.
Well, they both play resigned so well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Their relationship is great. Childs and McCready.
I read their relationship in this movie as though they were friends prior to this.
Yes.
Because McCready comes and goes, and it just so happens that McCready is there for the time being.
Yeah.
And you can tell some people are cooler with others.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think Childs and McCready might have been close before this bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one thing that I feel like Roger Ebert got really wrong. These are not faceless, like, horror movie, like, bodies to be killed. They all have their own character. They have relationships. You can see it. Like, Ebert got it so wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see things like Fuchs and McCready have a relationship. Childs and McCready have a relationship. Nobody likes Gary,
even
though
everybody thinks
Palmer and everybody thinks Palmer and Windows are idiots.
Yeah.
Like they are more than just those two-dimensional. No one says these things out loud. They are showing us.
Absolutely. Yeah. This movie, I don't know. I think this movie I feel might be John Carpenter's best film.
To me, this is top 5 horror movies of all time.
Absolutely.
The fact that people thought this is one of the worst is hilarious to me.
Yeah,
it's in the top 1, 2, or 3 of his best movies.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
it's my personal favorite of his.
Yeah.
There's Halloween, there's They Live, and there's this.
There's They Live.
Like, you could teach your film class. Those are you can't argue against those.
No, those 3 films are insanely good. And then Big Trouble in Little China is another like classic masterpiece. Escape from New York, like
Ghost of Mars wasn't bad.
Ghost of Mars was all right. Yeah. But those. I mean, Starman is a very different kind of movie than these, but Starman's an incredibly great movie. Like, John Carpenter had a run of films in the 70s and 80s that was unparalleled. And the fact that they weren't all considered classics is insane at the time.
And I know he's never titled as the casting agent because he doesn't have that title, but the man knows how to cast a movie.
Yeah, he does. So, all right. Any last thoughts before we move on, guys?
Don't take your thing out in public.
Yeah. Keep your thing hidden.
Your shame.
So, all right. We're going to move on. Next week, everybody, we are going to be back.
Because Haunted Phosphorescence is over as of now.
Yep. This is our final Spooktober episode. Next time on Harmless Phosphorescence, we are going to be back to our regular programming superhero movie podcast. We'll be talking about X-Men, Days of Future Past. So,
oh man, how many new characters do I have to?
Yeah, Al is going to be back to doing research next week.
And even different versions of characters he's done. Yeah, they've changed so much.
Exactly. So we'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This has been your host, Throw Smiley, and I'm off to go join up in the war against Norway.
I'm Josh Cece, and I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
It was me. I've been tossing my drawers into the kitchen trash can. I'm Brian Lesh.
I'm Alaric Weber, and I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch.
You and me both, Al.
Yeah, all of it. That one hit hard.
Woo! Yeah, so thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.